A lot of people think that keto means you can eat as much as you want, and that's why it appeals to people who are carb addicts because they can't stop eating carbs all day because the carbs are addictive mostly, but then now they're eating hamburgers all day or sausage or bacon. That's a lot of calories. You're going to gain weight.
Welcome to Black Belt Beauty Radio, a podcast fueled by a passion to support your journey in developing your most beautiful and optimal performance in life. Each episode is driven with the intention to elevate your mind. When we elevate our mind, we elevate our life. So get ready. It's time to rise. What's up, people? Welcome back to Black Belt Beauty Radio. I've got another Unplugged episode to share with you right now. And for those of you who are new to the podcast, Unplugged is a new series that I've launched under Black Belt Beauty Radio, which is essentially ongoing conversations with guests who have already been on the podcast. And the reason for this is because they are such powerful thought leaders and experts, and they have so much to share that I just want to keep talking to them and sharing their mental frameworks, their strategies, their insights, their ideas, their new findings, all of that with you in support of you, optimizing this life that you're living from a state that feels really good and allows you to continue pursuing this kind of peak expression in your life. That's what this podcast is all about. Okay, so today's Unplugged guest is my friend, Juli Keene. Juli Keene is a clinical nutritionist, and she's an absolute badass in the field of nutrition and health. She's been on the podcast twice before. She was episode 12 and 32, and both those episodes were such hits. You guys are so rich in knowledge when it comes to diet, nutrition, biology, all related to food and health. But you're also going to get background on Juli, how she came to be such an expert in this field, and what really drives her, what inspires her, all that good stuff. So definitely take those in if you have not already. This episode is such a wonderful, fun summer deep dive conversation into biology, into nutrition, nutrigenomics, how our food really does affect our entire well-being. We talk about the microbiome. We talk about the keto diet. Is the keto diet good for women? Is it not? We talk about body composition, actually dieting down, which means like cutting calories. Is there a time for that? If so, when is it, essential to implement? We talk about sugar and how disruptive it is on health. We talk about the food system. I mean, we get down on so many topics in the areas of nutrition and health, as Juli and I do. We have incredible talks all the time off the podcast. So it's just rad to have her back on. She's such a wealth of knowledge, and it was fun to go down this conversation with her. Ooh, one last thing before I hit play. I'm really excited about a specific area of our conversation, which was comprehensive blood labs. And the reason for this, you guys, is because I really believe, and I don't stand alone on this thought, that, doing comprehensive blood lab is really the future of health. It's really getting factual, a factual understanding of what's going on in your body. So what's cool is that in this episode, we get down on that subject, and Juli has this kind of superpower as an integrative functional nutritionist where she can read the body as a system, because the body is a system of systems. And so we actually pull up one of my recent comprehensive blood labs and dive into it a bit. So it's all, it's a complex subject, but that's one of the great things about Juli is that she's able to distill the complexity of biology and nutrition down in a way that you can absorb and retain it. So on that note, I'm going to hit play and let you take in another epic conversation with my friend, Juli Keene. Enjoy. All right, we are recording. Juli, I'm so excited to have you back on the podcast. It's been a minute.
It has been a while.
Too long.
Yeah.
Seriously. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm actually feeling extra good today because the sun came out. So as I was driving to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, give me that vitamin D.
I know we've been sun deprived here for so long.
I know, and I don't like to be a weather complainer, but I'm like, okay, I'm actually really, it's funny because my geeky biology self is like, yes, I want my tan lines. Yes, I love running the beach in my bikini. But what I really, really want is that natural vitamin D, because I know that is going to just make everything perform at a more optimal state, right?
Right.
It's very, it was a very fitting thought coming to you.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And taking it in a supplement is one thing, but the best thing is to get it out in nature. So,
yes.
And I'm just glad the sun's out there. So hopefully after this, we can go enjoy it a little bit before it's gone
right?
again.
Seriously.
And nobody feels bad for us here in LA either. When we complain about like the gloom and stuff.
I know. They're like, shut up.
We
you
sound so
assholes.
silly.
That's why I don't like to be a weather complainer, number one, just period, because I don't like complaining. But number two, because, I also lived in New York for so many years, and I know it's like, oh, hold on. It's still, we're still good. But whatever. All that being said, I'm ready
It's not what we're used to.
No, exactly.
Right.
So what's up? I feel like all of our conversations since our actual last podcast, they are always so podcast worthy. So it's exciting to have you actually back on and record, but there's been so much happening with you in your business, your practice, your life that I want to tear into a little bit. Like, what are you up to, Julie?
Oh my God. This is, I feel like do you know that we've had 5-hour conversations on the phone? Maybe 4.5, I think it was.
You are the only person that I've ever clocked in. Like, what was that? But here's the craziest part. We could have kept going.
Oh yeah. I got off and I was legit low blood sugar. And I was like, my phone battery was dead, and I had plugged it in like an hour before we got off. Yeah, it was crazy.
You know what? There's just such a great exchange. There's always so much. There's just so much education happening and questioning, like, oh, really? Is that? Yeah, this is good for that, or I don't know. And then obviously just checking in. I mean, what I'm up to in my life, what you're up to. I feel like, you're in the middle of writing a book right now, which is so exciting.
I am.
I can't wait for that to come out because it's kind of like, fuck yeah. Yeah. Is that feeling really good for you?
And you've helped me a lot with that. Thank you. With like staying focused and not trying to make it all into one book, but making it, because it's so much information that I've amassed over so many years. And it's, writing a book is like the best thing I've ever done, but it's also a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Sure.
Because I do have to pick and choose like the most important stuff to put in there.
Yeah.
And like the way that we'll talk for that long, it's because you'll listen and talk about nutrition stuff for that long.
I'm like,
right?
Julie, tell me more, please.
There's not that many people who will do that because the eyes roll back in the head and they're like, we don't care about.
Well, it's complex too.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's hardcore stuff.
Yeah. And something you said that was awesome was these are like busy parents, like how, especially when I'm looking at infant and toddler nutrition.
Your book, sorry, just to put a little. So the book is geared towards how to feed your kids in an optimal way, right, for their
something
health.
Like the Nutritionist Guide to Feeding Kids. Yes, and then there's babies and toddlers and elementary school age kids and teenagers and teen athletes, and because there is nothing out there that's really decent. So you're like, what's the main things that parents want to know?
Right.
And that's like, they don't need to know the metabolic pathways or the whole reasons for everything they can have basically. But so a lot of my book has been written for years. It's just cutting away what's not going to be in the book.
Totally. I think that's the case with a lot of writers. I mean, I haven't even said this to you yet, but I'm writing a book. We've talked about like the concept of this. Obviously, I've been writing for the majority of my life. Not a novelist, never applied myself that way. But the actual first real idea was it came to me maybe a month ago now, which I'll share with you later. It's super exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's rad, but it's also I feel the same way where it's like I think a lot of the book has already been written, and I just need to kind of go into it and just kind of reframe it towards a specific focus that I have on this book and take away the unnecessary, right? So then all you have left are the most important nutrients.
Oh my God. I love that.
You can take that for your book.
Okay, thank you.
Please.
No, I love that.
perfect.
Nutrient density. It's like the whole story. Yeah. So
Right.
the book, my practice has really gotten busy because I took off in 2016. My daughter got sick, and it was almost like I moved away for a year with her and got her well, and she's like doing great now. Like she's kicking butt. So it was almost like the last 2 or 3 years I've been able to just go for broke and really focus on my business and my practice. And I have like some really cool new patients that I'm working with, high level athletes. I have a couple new fighters. I have people who are like getting firsts and seconds and like just kicking butt. So I'm having really a lot of fun fine tuning their nutrition and their supplements to just like watch them and things that, you know, I just know we're going to work, and then to watch them work. It's so fulfilling that, and sometimes that's more fun than just sitting and writing a book.
Oh, for sure.
So
I understand that so much just
the
from
discipline.
the diverse. Yes, it does take discipline. I mean, honestly, I'll just give you little, this is how I've kind of mapped it out in my mind. It's like minimum 10 minutes a day. And it sounds so, you know, like that's so small. What are you going to, but you know what? Sometimes 1 minute a day is too much, right? Or hard, I should say. So if I frame it like that in my mind of like, hey, it's just 10 minutes a day, just sit down. Sit down with that.
Actually.
Because then before you know it.
On that specific book, that project.
Exactly.
That's how I get my patients who have never exercised.
Yes.
That's like, I have some really, really clinically obese patients or very sick patients too.
Yeah.
That's how I get them to exercise is, can you just walk for 10 minutes?
Right.
Just 10, and they're like 10 minutes there or 10 minutes back. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, either one. Just go 5 minutes out and 5 minutes back.
Well, and even I'm sure you can frame it towards your, you know, like when you're giving someone a plan for nutrition, baby steps, man.
Yes,
like you're not going to just go full blown about like, take this out, take this out. You're going to be like, just start adding more greens or, I mean, you know.
Oh yeah. I give the overall, here's where I want you to be, and here's my plan for you as of now. It'll probably change as you change, but do you want baby steps now, or do you want to run with this?
Right.
And people will just tell me, like, and then I will definitely give them, I always give them the baby steps anyway, like here's where to start, because it can be overwhelming.
Well, and also
everybody.
because I think the idea is it's you want to build a habit. Habits are not built overnight. Right. You know, I always say this, that miles are made by inches. So right now, as much as, you know, I write every day, but I write for me, right? But now I'm having to write for my book. So I actually have to develop a new habit of writing my book, right? This practice. And that is not something, as inspired as I am, which I'm very much inspired, there's also resistance, because I think anytime you're about to embark on, you know, like a journey, like something like this creatively, where it's going to ask a lot of you, you know, there's always going to be a little resistance that comes with it. Yeah. There's actually one of my favorite books ever, The War of Art, is all about this. And so anyways, I 10 minutes a day, Roxy, just sitting with your book. Whatever comes out of you will come out, but let's just develop this habit so much to that, you know, it becomes a thing where you can't not give yourself 10 minutes. And the thing is that most likely, and already it's been the case. Yeah, like you're going to write longer, but just not having this demanding expectation on something that is not even already a part, like a muscle that you just, it's very helpful.
I think that's great. And I've been doing 2-hour intervals, sometimes 4 hours, but where I like yours better is because then I'm not as focused. I might be over here doing research on stuff that maybe doesn't even need to be researched.
Yeah.
Or I have things all week that I collect and put in my file for the book.
Right.
And then I'm more like moving things around, when if it was 10 minutes, I'm just going to get right to the heart of it, I think. So I love that.
Thank you. There's a focus tool that I use. I have this app. I think it's actually called Focus. It's Focus something. I'll look it up. But anyways,
I'll link to it after for the podcast for sure.
Totally. It's a great app because I have researched, you know, the concept of focus and like what you can really ask of yourself. So basically, it has been proven that, you know, anything, I think it was over, I can't remember the exact minutes, but I'm pretty sure it was over 50 minutes. now you're in this zone where you're not as your state of focus is not as optimal. So what I do is I either work in 25-minute increments. I mean, this is just not outside of the book. Like maybe it's for the podcast or something else related where I actually have to sit down and focus, right, with my computer, or even clean the fucking house straight up. So what I do is I'll put on 25 minutes or 50 minutes. And so my brain is now set into like, this is go time, right? So I'm just going to be super focused. I'm not checking my Instagram. Yeah. I'm not, taking the call.
That. Yeah.
And then it gives me a buzzer and it gives me a 5-minute break. We need the break. And then sometimes in that break, like, let's just say I've been sitting down and writing. I'm standing up. Go get the glass of water. Maybe do a squat, some jumping jacks, whatever. 5 minutes is up, come back, and it really does. It really helps
gears.
Me.
Yeah.
Yes.
They do that with kids, like, because I've always worked with autistic, ADHD, that population is how I started my practice, and that helps with kids in all schools. That's why to let them get up and run around for 10 minutes. You see the pool outside my window? Like I'm doing video chat, looking at that when it's sunny lately, when it has been sunny.
Yeah.
I just want to be out there. So my focus,
totally.
so I just tell myself, go get to an hour and then run down there between patients.
That's how I am because I live at the beach.
Right, I know.
And so the window
it's
is
even
just
harder
like,
there.
It's so hard. And as someone who is such a mover, I love moving.
Right.
I have a hard
Me
time.
Too.
I always start my mornings with a good amount of time of not moving because I'm meditating, I'm writing, I'm reading, and then maybe like right after that I'm going into some podcast work or something where I'm sitting, right?
Yeah.
But legit like 2 hours max, and then I'm ready to fucking hit it. I'm like, okay, I gotta go and I'll go get like a session of training in, and it just, it's hard for me. So you can imagine on international flights, like I just flew back from Spain the other week.
I saw that.
It was like 11 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, gratefully I'm in business class, so I get to lay down at least, but just sitting for long periods of time.
That's terrifying to me.
Yeah. That's why I can't fucking watch TV. Like, I'm just going to sit here.
Oh, no, I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
No.
Your face.
I would be so bored.
I watch UFC because we're in action. It's
that I could
happening.
watch, or even like somebody competing, or
exactly,
volleyball, or even like I'm not a huge like basketball, or sorry for you guys.
No, basketball's a great sport, but it's like you're watching real life happen.
Not my favorite, but I would rather watch that than. Sometimes I'll watch a movie or something, but even then I get bored. I get a little bored, and I want to do other stuff while I'm watching it. So
yeah, because you love to move too, and I love that that's something that you share on your Instagram a lot. In your stories where you're like, you guys, look, I just sat down for this many hours, but now I'm on the treadmill or on the elliptical doing whatever, getting a little bit of this in, and then I'm going to go back to the work. And I love that for obvious reasons, but I think one of the greatest takeaways about that is, it's possible, right? If you really want to implement, these kind of healthy habits into your life, no matter how busy you are, how focused and how important all these things are that you're building and that you're working on are, it is absolutely possible. And if anything, it fuels the beast, right? Like if you didn't give yourself that.
Yeah.
Right.
We deserve it. We're like little kids inside. A lot of us, when we're like healthy and our nutrients are up and we're eating right, we want to go out and play, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I see like exercise, quote, what everybody calls it, exercise. I know you're the same.
Yeah.
Because I see you out there running, and I saw a patient at one of the studios day before yesterday, I think it was, and I don't like driving up there, and I don't like driving down, but they pay me a lot of money to do so. So like, to be quite honest.
You're like, I'm good.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I go up there, I listen to podcasts on the way there, I listen to that stuff on the way back, so I'm not wasting my time in that way, or sometimes music if I'm in a music mood.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? We're going to walk and do your consult.
That.
And that's what I've been doing.
I love doing walking meetings, or sometimes on our long phone calls.
Yeah. And this person directs everybody else and doesn't like really being bossed. And I'm like, we're walking because I say we're walking. And he's like, I don't want to walk. I work all day. I'm like, but you sit on your butt all day.
Right.
And by the end, he was like thanking me for walking and doing what we needed, talking about what we needed to talk about.
Well, by the way, there have been studies that prove that our brain is more activated in a positive way when we are walking and doing these, like walking meetings kind of things, you know? So, and like, why not? Because let's be real, I wear a Fitbit, and even as someone who is highly athletic and active, there are times where maybe like I did a morning session of HIIT, right?
Uh-huh.
But, I'll look and it's 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, I've only got 5,000 or 6,000 steps because then after that, I'm doing podcast work, black belt beauty work, whatever. And that's not okay for me. I like my numbers of, just movement and steps to be somewhere between like 13 and 15, but how I have it set is 20,000 steps. But
I remember.
But the thing is that, going back to from how we evolved, listen, we were moving a lot more. And if this is so tied into the way I am with my food, right? Like traveling to Europe, people who follow me on my stories saw I had my bison burgers, I had my salmon. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I literally survived off the food that I brought because it was such a quick trip and they didn't, it wasn't set up to, I ate my first meal and me, but also the time was something. But by the time I got to the hotel the first night to have my first meal, it was already like 9:30, almost 10 o'clock at night. And it ended up being what I brought and this little bit of spinach that the restaurant downstairs was able to
find for you.
Yeah, because they don't have but what I was going to say is that, if we don't go out of our way, and I'm not saying you have to do it like I'm doing it, but I'm saying being conscious to go out of your way to get the steps in, to make sure that you have snacks so your blood sugar levels don't, all that stuff. We have to do these things now because we live in a time where we are not walking for 20 miles a day and we are not, the food is not pure and nutrient dense like, it was. So it's important.
True. I know. I agree. And I always travel like that. I plan.
Yeah.
Blender, frothers.
Oh yeah.
I bring what I need. I bring my food. I know when I get off the plane if there's a health food store within any miles.
Yeah, you've already searched it out.
I've got a car or a way to go there. I have to, because especially you're going to operate at a high. You're there because you're working, so you have to operate at a high level.
Right. I want to fucking perform on a kick-ass level.
You have to fuel that. You have to.
Yeah.
And the movement, my husband and I are opposites in this way, and it's always been a point of contention that he builds houses and he does a lot of the work himself on these big houses. So he's literally walking
super physical
all day long. My husband can lift someone who's like twice my weight. That's awesome. He's ridiculously, freakishly strong.
That's rad.
Right? But he doesn't ever want to walk in a gym. He hates that kind of stuff.
Right.
So when it's a weekend, I'm like, can we please go on a bike ride or can we walk? And he looks like I'm trying to kill him. He's just like, oh my God,
kind of understandably so if you're always being physical in your work.
If you're always on your feet and we're getting older now. So of course my solution is that he just push paper and let the younger guys do that stuff. Yeah. But that keeps him happy and healthy.
Yeah, totally. Well, he's gaining something from that type of work. And so, it's,
blood-wise, his hormones, his blood, they're really healthy because he does exactly what you're saying, the way that we were. Right. The way we used to.
Right.
Operate as humans. To operate was wandering and gathering hunting
stones and building and he's totally doing that.
That's so important because it's those bursts of strength and energy where we used to think cardio and long bends of cardio were king. God. We know so much more now than we did back in the 80s and
we know
even 90s.
So much more, and that makes me so excited about what are we about to discover
so much
10 years from now, 5 years from now. I mean, I know in my personal journey of health and body composition, all that stuff, I definitely went through a period where, I was sold on the don't pick up, weights above 3 pounds.
You get bulky.
I'll get bulky, whatever bulky is. My brothers were like, pick up the fucking weights. Because they knew that, I speak to this in my ebook, the recipe book, but, I got injured, I gained weight, and then it was just this big, long process of, because I never had that. I had literally, it was like a 8-pack, I was a competitive runner. Yeah. And, I'm a mesomorph, my body type. So naturally super lean and defined with my muscles, right? And so all of a sudden I'm like, what is happening? Because I'm on the SAD diet. I'm also laid out in bed trying to get mobility back in my knee. I'm taking Vicodin, which was disgusting, but it was like, and all of that was like this perfect storm of now all of a sudden I look in the mirror and I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's almost like a bummer that I didn't pick up weights sooner, but I didn't believe in it. You know, I thought like, cause while I had this kind of, I had an extra layer on me of weight gain. I still had the muscle underneath. So now I'm looking at my body going like, no, I don't want to build bigger. Look how strong I already am.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is I finally listened to my brothers. I increased protein and then I start lifting weights. And this actually, it's kind of, so I got injured in jiu-jitsu. Like I broke a bone in my foot, right? Ooh. So now I couldn't do this kind of high level of cardio that I was always doing. And so I had to change my game. And that's when I decided, all right, let's change the game. Let's, you know, my brother, Arya, who is an Olympian IFBB pro, he was like, listen, you gotta, let's up your protein. Cause I was doing a lot of healthy fats and, you know, I was eating fish and eggs, tons of plants, but I still was not getting in enough protein. The minute I started to up that macro and then add the weights, fat burning machine. It's crazy.
Isn't that awesome?
The whole body changed.
And and yet you wouldn't believe how many people are so afraid for me to increase their protein. Even my high level athletes are afraid because of the calories.
Really?
They're afraid just extra food is what they hear.
Actually, and it's way less calorically. Like,
right. But even in this day and age, they just for some reason, I think we were told for so long that non-fat and low-fat carbs were the answer and that meats and saturated fats and all those things were bad. That the first thing with most people is fear. Right. Even people who come to me and like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a keto diet. Right. They're still scared when I want them to do higher protein or, you know, change things around. Like people are just, well, they don't know what to think. But yeah. So how long ago was that you got...
changed up my gears with that,
and then started trying to lose the weight.
Yeah,
like 5.
Yeah, 10. No. Well, with the bone, when I started lifting, it was around 5 years ago now, and I'm talking about like. Yeah, I was picking up weights at the time, but I wasn't deadlifting heavy. I wasn't I wasn't doing these compound.
When you gained all the weight, that was a knee thing, right?
Oh, that's like I was in high school. Okay. So I'm 41 now. Okay. It started when I was 16. I thought it was
much longer ago than when you were doing jiu-jitsu, so that's why I got confused with the timeline.
Yeah, no, it was that was in high school. So it was like 3 years towards the end of high school because I had 3 back-to-back knee surgeries. Okay. So tore my ACL, tore my meniscus twice. Okay. And then it would be, you know, like seriously almost 2 decades.
You said sad American diet. That's what everybody's on at that age, right?
Yeah, that's what I was. I mean, listen, my mom's like, well, we didn't have the knowledge that we have. We also didn't have the resources. Like now we go into the market and there's like 10 different kinds of almond milk. I know. Forget it. Like that was it. I love it too.
We had to hunt for it back in the day.
Well, if we even hunted, because we weren't even dialed into that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, tack on the fact that, you know, my mom is, you know, it's like single mom who's entrepreneur and like doing the best she can. Like she's working. Right. So sometimes the meal was fucking Burger King or Taco Bell coming home. Of course. We weren't mad at that.
Kids to feed too.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And we're all, you know, athletic, so it's like we need to eat a lot.
Oh, yeah. Luckily, you had your brothers, though, who could lead you in the right direction.
No. We were all eating the same shit.
Oh, back then, you all were. Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually...
Well, and they don't... When I got injured, my brothers... You know, one of my brothers has kind of gone on and off, like fluctuating with weight, but like Arya and Mike, they've been lifting weights and like... Yeah, they've never had to. Arya's actually fluctuated, but like almost purposely in some ways to like being muscle gaining mode. Michael has never experienced weight gain or any kind of fat on his body, really.
Yeah, he's hardcore. He's a little like super rigid and like.
Well, no, he's fucking smart,
disciplined, and regimented. It seems like
he's been ahead of the game because this is a true passion for him. That's why he's so good at what he does. And honestly, in all fairness, man, like it's sometimes just the way things are communicated, brother and sister. But I so remember him saying to me, it was over 5 years ago, because I wasn't eating animal meat at that time. I was eating some fish, but he was like, "You would be leaner if you had animal protein." And I remember going like, "Yeah, but guess what? He's fucking right.
Yeah,
he is absolutely right. The minute I started eating high quality protein, you know, and for me at the time, it was like just adding more eggs to my game and being more conscious of like how much fish. And then, you know, recently,
I see the definition and the gains just from when you started the bison recently.
The bison. Meat. I mean, I still don't do bird because I can't. It just grosses me out. You know, but I never stopped eating meat because I had an issue with it emotionally. Right. It was just, it was that I did this cleanse. This is like 15 years ago. And I think it served me, even though it was like I'm almost embarrassed of it now. But actually, it still reset me in a way where I had been, you know, over 15 years ago now. But it was like super high carb and just not... it was like there was yeast, let's put it that way, you know what I mean, like sugar was in the body, no plants, no real plants like vegetables, or there was enough plants, but it just wasn't anything close to what it is now. There was you know, still sugar and things like that happening, which for me it just didn't feel right. So I do this cleanse and then I'm like, oh my gosh, and the only thing I want is vegetables. Right. And so I was like, well, you know what? My body probably doesn't need the meat. And this is actually, I love that we're right here, because I feel like this is going to segue into something that I'm so excited to get down on with you. But it might have been the case at that time. In fact, most likely it was the case that was a diet that was very serving to me in that moment, because, you know, now I had eliminated gluten. Now I eliminated dairy. Now my sugar was just like total halt there, right? And I'm implementing more micronutrient dense foods and all that stuff. And, you know, I certainly felt the change. It was an addiction, and I was just, and it, you know, and then it just carried on, and now here I am. But I really want to talk about for a second this kind of, you know, not that we're always changing. We are always evolving. Me reincorporating animal meat into my diet, that's a great example, right? Maybe I didn't need it at that time, but then come to do my first comprehensive blood lab with you, you know, last year in the fall. What did we realize? What did we discover? I'm fucking anemic. And I have no idea. I'm over here like pushing weight, doing all this stuff, and it's like, and you're like, oh.
I was like, Roxy, we need to talk about your labs.
And so I want to talk about just this idea of constantly, you know, of checking in and really like understanding that our bodies are always changing. We are always evolving. What's great for us maybe 10 years ago, now you're in a new decade. Hormones are different. Maybe you've had a baby. Maybe you're whatever. All these things, these variables. So now you have to, you know, you have to edit the diet.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I think that's so important. And I have been seeing lately, you've probably seen this, but a couple of my patients have even pointed it out. I have some college kids too, and they follow YouTubers are the new TV apparently.
Oh yeah,
right. I know Emma's been watching them for years. She tells me who's who and what's what, and I've had a couple come to me as patients, and I don't know who they are, but she knows, and it's like they're a TV star, but trips me out. I kind of like it, but she said that I have seen that there are ones who are vegans, and apparently they've become vegan in the last maybe 4 years or something. This one in particular, this one lady, and then she gets this huge following of people, and then it turns out that now she's being completely like broken down and cut down because she was caught eating fish and eating animal protein.
Wow.
And so I go to look at a few of her Instagram posts and things, and it's like, I mean, she's saying that she said she was suicidal now but so you have so many things going here that moves away from what we're actually doing nutrition for, or we're trying to optimize our bodies and our nutrition for health and for longevity.
Right, and not for image.
Right, now people are building entire identities, and not just identities, but it gets so dangerous when it's your quote career.
Right.
You're now your livelihood is attached to you doing something that might have been good 4 years ago for your body, and you might have felt great. And of course, everybody wants to help people. When people start noticing that we lose weight, or we are looking more clear, our eyes
performing
are glowing,
at a higher level,
we're kicking ass in our sport or whatever.
Right.
Of course, they want to go, well, what are you doing? Like when my husband, I just took him off gluten, dairy, and sugar when he was looking at a back surgery. And he lost about 30, 40 pounds in 5 months, and he looked 10 years younger.
Yeah.
And he felt so good. He never needed the back surgery, by the way. So
that's amazing.
Right? The doctor just said, you need to lose weight to be able to handle this surgery.
Sure.
I'm not going to do it until you lose 10, 15 pounds. And he lost more without trying. And
that's rad.
Yeah. I mean, so all his friends were asking him, so I could hear him on the phone like, well, dude, it's really easy. Julie put me on this diet. I'm like, it's not a diet. He's like, you don't eat this, you eat this, I eat this. And I was like, Kurt, that's not for everybody. It's a good idea that they all cut those things out, but he was telling him exactly like what he did.
Right.
What he ate and drank. And I was like,
well, and everyone's different. You can't prescribe. Because people talk to me all the time and like ask me questions. Yeah, and you everyone is so unique.
Right.
We all need different things.
Right.
This just kind of came top of mind when you were talking, just to throw this in there. But I think of it like a business. No successful business is going to be doing anything in this kind of straight line, like linear kind of way, right? There's always a dance. We need to check in, we need to edit in order to grow, in order to
take inventory.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So
look at numbers, look at facts.
Look at numbers, look at facts, which is why I am such listen, it was so rad to do my very first comprehensive blood lab with you. It had already been a couple of years that, I was super deep into nutrigenomics and biology and just getting extra geeky on the subject. So I was like, oh my God, I'm dying to do, a comprehensive blood lab, but I didn't know where to go. And also you can't just do the blood lab. I don't know how to read that foreign language.
Right.
So I want someone who's integrative, who knows, who looks at the body as a system of systems, because that's what the body is. So it's like you're looking over here, but then you're like, oh, well, this is affecting this and that. And the foreign language. It's a superpower. I've said that to you several times.
I know. I love it. I had to learn it. I had to.
I mean, it's honestly, like when we just did a new blood lab for me, which we might get into a little bit in this episode, but so I guess
smile on your face.
Well, I got the lab, and now there's definitely things that I'm able to kind of understand and read, but there's still so much that I just don't know. My brain doesn't understand, and I'm sitting here like, when do I get to hang out with Julie? It's like, well, and you know what? It's funny. It's like I feel so vulnerable. Like, fuck, to not know how to read this is like. I don't know, that concept. It's kind of like me not knowing how to do jujitsu now, where I'm like, oh my God, if somebody grabbed me this way, I know what to do now. But back then, before jujitsu, I did it and I was so vulnerable. So I look at my blood labs and I don't understand it all, and it makes me feel vulnerable. But I'm grateful I got you in my back pocket.
Right. And also,
I got Julie on speed dial.
The 5-hour conversations help, but also you're learning. Like when I'm doing this stuff, I'm showing you. I'm like, do you see the TSH is here, but the free T3 is there?
Right.
So this is what that means. And
that's I'm glad that you said that, because it's true. That's why now I'm, the difference of what it was like October to now, I now can look at these labs and understand it so much more than that first one, because you're so good at, not just, this is this and this, that, but you're explaining so that I can learn. And, I have a passion for it. Like, I want to learn.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think inspires you, hence the 5-hour conversation.
Well, doctors have traditionally been, first of all, they're always have, until recently with functional medicine, they look at labs in just a very Band-Aid approach. Like, here's this range, and it's a very broad range. Anything outside too low or too high means it's a disease, and then there's a medication or a treatment.
Right.
And so what happened when I started in the 90s is there were a couple people in the world teaching a more functional approach to reading labs, where what if we brought that into narrow, and there actually was a big study done on, it was called a blood biopsy study, where Blue Cross or Blue Shield was involved, and Michigan State University, And and my mentor in blood at that time was Dr. Harry Eidner. And they were trying to look for cancer and watch it happen as it was happening over a 10, 20, 30-year period by going through thousands and thousands of labs for healthy people too.
Yeah.
Right? So there, instead of all these labs, which the range came originally, even the range we have now, they come from sick people.
Right.
Because that's all we had to go on from hospitals, pulling data from hospitals and people who have even died sometimes. So we don't want
it's
that.
Interesting. Well, and also I think that that's something unique about you is that, you do work with high performers and, you know my lifestyle. So you're looking at my blood labs from that perspective. I think there was something about cholesterol in particular where, the range, let me see if I can
your labs are just amazing, which I knew they would be.
Well, there's some things I don't remember specifically. So, there's just some things where it's triggered like intermediate risk with the cholesterol, but you're like, no, that's actually because they're not even used to seeing your, it's like something like that, stuff, right?
Yeah. And I saw this with the really, really high people that I've worked with too, where it's like, it's so good that it actually triggers a bad because it's ridiculous, like kind of a thing. Like they don't know what to do with that.
Is that better?
I'm trying to, let me see, make that a little bigger. I have my glasses on, but not my magnifiers.
No, cool.
LDL particle size, back that way, HDL particle. So you want the big fluffy particles in your cholesterol, and you have that. You just have so much good cholesterol that actually looks higher than they're used to seeing, is what that was about.
That's such an interesting concept.
Right?
It's like,
that's what I meant too about the ranges. Like the ranges they're getting more narrow, and with a lab like the True Health Diagnostic, they're aiming for more of an ideal scenario, but there still are ranges. So that's why I might say, Roxy, I really want to see this number here, or the ferritin here, and it looks in normal range,
right?
But it's because, just like vitamin D, we would like to see between 40 and 60, or 40.
Right.
Like we don't want it too high, we don't want it too low, but that's never going to be their range because they would have to treat every person who came into a hospital or who got a routine physical, or that would be too much crap for doctors to deal with, and they don't know how to deal with that kind of fine tuning.
Right. So that makes it even more important who you're going to do labs like this, because again, me, you know my life, you know what my output is physically, so when you say to me, I would like your iron levels to be higher, I would like I don't know if this lab shows my protein. I'm sure
I wanted your protein.
We were looking at old labs the other day, so I don't know actually.
Your protein. So here's when I'm looking at protein, I'm looking for too high and too low.
Okay.
And I look at it in relation to the person, and how I know they eat.
Right.
And I look at it in relation to other protein-related albumin, globulin, because I can sometimes see if they're just eating enough protein but just not digesting it. Because
so interesting.
Some people eat that sad American diet, and maybe they're eating too many carbs. They have yeast. They're not eating enough veggies. They just have this acid reflux all the time.
Right.
So they're eating hamburgers and hot dogs and lots of protein.
Yeah.
But they're also eating lots of everything else.
Right.
And they're not digesting. Basically, they're just like gas machines all day long.
Yeah.
So then we clean up the diet if we can a little bit. Add some digestive enzymes, and then those protein numbers go in place.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, because if your gut is not working optimally, then you can't assimilate and eliminate correctly, right?
True. They're usually constipated, or what a lot of people, this IBS thing, it's like constipation from constantly eating cheese and gluten and loaves of bread a day and things like that. That stuff is binding.
I was just going to say that you saying that, I'm just already getting clogged up.
It's gross, right?
It's clogging.
I know. And no vegetables. And
well, that's a key piece. I think that's so important to put in the mix, right? I mean, I don't eat bread or cheese, but listen, you're doing your bread or cheese here or there, whatever, if you're going to do that. But where are your plants?
Right.
Because those things are going to protect you.
Here's the bigger problem with that. Right, exactly what you said. It's taking a place on your plate, especially for kids, too.
Yeah.
It's on the plate, and kids aren't going to eat that much anyway.
Right.
Are they going to eat mac and cheese or pizza, or are they going to eat vegetables?
Right.
Honestly.
Totally.
Well, parents are like, I can't get my kids to eat anything but mac and cheese. Well, stop giving them that. Give them meat, vegetables, rice, potato, fruit.
You just have to get creative.
If you don't give them anything else, of course they will eat it.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that we let children decide what they're...
Like if instead of a mashed potato or whatever, like use the cauliflower.
There are creative things,
right.
but also... I think that we've gotten so far off into all the advertising that's done around kids and what they're eating.
Yeah.
The marketing, this is the only country in the world that's unregulated marketing to children
and
adults buy it lock, stock, and barrel.
Right.
So why wouldn't the kids, right?
Well, yeah, I think it's also a combination of a couple other things. I think it's like lack of knowledge. You know, the parents probably don't know what is the optimal diet, like what's really important, what microbiome is.
Well, because all the wrong information has been put out for years. That's why.
Totally. Yeah. And then also I think that it comes down to survival. You know, being busy and not being able to really sit down and after a long day of work.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people, a lot of parents, foods. And I say this with so much empathy, don't want to sit down and like try and convince your child to eat a broccoli. It's like, I just need to feed you because you're going to survive. And I need to
make it to 18 and then let me...
And I need to like take a breath. I've had a long day and I got to do it all over again tomorrow. So I really don't feel like I'm speaking as the parent, but I'm just saying like, I'm saying this.
Yeah, I empathize as well.
And I know that you do. And I think that's one of the great
Emma
things.
was a really picky eater. She had like 3 or 4 things, then she refused everything.
What kid isn't a picky eater though?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So you got to start them like really early, right?
You got to start at infancy. You got to really start young, and we got to, this whole issue of kids' foods, that's a bunch of BS. Like Goldfish, Cheerios. Right. Those are just processed.
It's like cartoon food.
Thank you. That's what it is.
Put that in your book.
Yeah, I love that.
Cartoon food.
Like Flintstones vitamins. Like all that stuff is overprocessed crap. And what it's doing is it's setting the taste buds up and the brain chemicals up so that kids are going to just be addicted to those kind of fast foods. And I know people think of fast foods as McDonald's and all that stuff. That's cereal, crackers, all that stuff.
Yeah, because that stuff is literally, by literal term, it's fast food.
Open the box and eat it.
Exactly. And your taste buds are only as smart as the memory. Your microbiome then also, I don't know if this is completely accurate, but I have heard, you know, your microbiome will crave certain things too. And then that, because of the vagus nerve, because of the way the brain and the gut, the brain-gut axis, now your gut is actually driving your brain to go towards those foods. So when people say to me, like, "Oh, what's your cheat food?" I'm like, "Cheat what?"
I hate that even that term.
It's just that is you know what?
I'm cheating on myself. I'm cheating myself.
I'm like, you guys,
literally.
I am fulfilled. Like there's nothing to cheat on here.
Right.
I mean, listen, I might eat a little extra Baru nuts from time to time because maybe I'm PMSing and I'm emotional or whatever.
A free piece of cookie or something that Amber made.
Exactly. Oh my God, I just had some strawberry gluten-free rhubarb bread yesterday that was just like, it was actually excellent. But, you know, in just as a whole, there's nothing to cheat on. I literally sitting down to eat my food, especially dinner, because it's actually when I'm really sitting down. Sometimes the morning is kind of more, I mean, literally on the way to you, I had my protein pancake in my lap. It's on my story right now.
That's funny.
You know, I sit down with my food and I'm like, yes, I'm so excited. Yeah. I crave my food.
Me too.
There's nothing that I want that I don't have. There might be times where I might restrict some elements more than others. Like maybe I've got some kind of photo shoot coming up, so I might dial back some healthy fats and increase some protein for, you know, the specific body composition that I'm aiming for. But none of it is just like, it's all still healthy. It's all still, there's no fucking cheating, basically.
Right. Because, I mean, cheating just it really just cheats ourselves. And it, you know, like you said in, I think it was our first podcast, that there are scientists sitting in these companies, these food companies, literally then they're market testing these things and saying, which one makes you feel like you can't stop eating it more?
Right.
Or they just give it to people and pay them $50 to watch behind a mirror while they see which ones they eat all of it up.
So gnarly.
And that really, what you said about the microbiome and the brain chemistry, if we have yeast in our gut, which most of us do, yeast is well known. It's well known for, and a lot of kids are born, they have yeast, either they get it from their mother and it goes crazy because the formulas have sugar and stuff in them, corn syrup, even mother's milk. There's a new study out that if mothers are eating a lot of sugar, the kids are going to want more sugar. And I think it has to do with the microbiome and the yeast. I've always thought that yeast sets off a chemical that I've never memorized or been able to say, but you can find it on PubMed. That chemical tells the brain, get more sugar, get more carbs.
I believe it.
Get more bread. Yeah. Get more yeast. Get all of it.
You know why I believe it too, Julie?
Yeah.
Because I have none of those cravings.
Yeah, I don't either. It's so nice not to have it.
But I remember when I did.
Yeah, me too.
And it's almost like I'm so grateful, even though I wish I didn't have as many of those hard years, but whatever. There's so much greatness that came from it. Just to be able to hang out in conversation with you, it was just like, because I learned some shit because, but I had to struggle to then dive deep and learn. But I remember how I used to crave these foods. I have no cravings. I want to say one more thing about the cheat concept. Cheating implies that I'm doing something wrong. Like I'm exactly, and or I'm not doing something. Right. Like my diet is so restrictive, and so this cheat is allowing me to just be human.
Well, yeah, it keeps that diet. People come to me because maybe they're following some keto influencer online or something, and they come to me usually when they've hit a plateau. Yeah, and they have something come up in their labs, like their hormones are off, or their thyroid, or something like that, and then. I'm always, they asked, well, do you allow cheat days in your diet that you put? And I'm like, first of all, there is no one diet. Second of all, you won't need a cheat day. If I really want to eat something, I'll eat it. I'll eat a cookie. Yes. I like to do the lower sugar chocolate just because sugar affects me now. And I don't always I don't want a head rush. No, I don't want to feel off balance. Yeah. I don't want to set up the cravings. But if somebody has a really good chocolate, I'm going to try it,
it's called Who Kitchen.
Yeah, I love the Who Kitchen. I just found a new one. No, I have a new one.
You do?
Rad, R-A-D. Yeah. It does have
R-A-D, Rad?
R-A-D. Yeah, I went to Mother's Market the other night after I spent like 10 hours on Monday with patients, and then I went over to Mother's to get Primal Kitchen has some new protein bars, by the way. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
They're good?
Not the collagen. The collagen are gross, but no, they're good. They're good. So awesome. I've only tried a couple bites of one so far, but I bought...
Because protein bars are hard.
Yeah, they vary. I'm always...
again the other day for traveling to Spain, and I was like, there's nothing.
They have another one called Zing that says... formulated by Nutritionist, and I just grabbed a couple just to look at them and see what I think. I have a bunch. I'll tell you if any of them are winners, but usually 9 out of 10, they go in the no pile, but it's research. So
you found new chocolate.
Yeah, the Rad. It's got like 9 grams of sugar, but
is it coconut sugar?
Coconut sugar, but and no dairy, a regular and organic. Yeah. A regular chocolate bar like Hershey's or one of that junk has...
Well, that's not real chocolate. Let's be real.
Right, it has chemicals, and it also has like 24 grams of sugar.
I mean, it's horrible. 24 for like not even the whole bar. It's got to be more
for a
than
serving.
that.
I'm talking about per serving. Yeah, not for the whole bar. No.
Yeah, Who Kitchen. By the way, Who is my favorite restaurant in New York, and that's where it comes from. And everything in there is just incredible.
Really good.
But their chocolate is super pure, dark chocolate, only coconut sugar. I mean, it's just bare bones simple, and
then when you could eat a little bit, and you're totally satisfied.
Dude, yes, like there's times around my cycle, especially. Plus, dark chocolate is so healthy for you.
Right.
But it doesn't mean I need to eat it every day because it's healthy. But around my cycle, I'll be like, I want a little bit of dark chocolate. So I have Who in the fridge all the time. They actually have these dark chocolate almonds. They're amazing. But
I just saw those. I haven't tried them. Okay, good. I gotta try them.
Because then you're getting a little bit of the protein and fat.
I want that.
And I love crunch.
No, I want that. They have them at Mother's in Manhattan. Yeah,
that's good to know. I always get mine.
I gotta get some.
Local, but. Yeah, I mean, just to go back to what you were saying, we were talking about cheating, and it just, you're always gonna find a kind of healthier option, but it's still, if you want a cookie, you're gonna go for a cookie. And I think that's.
And if you guys want to, if you're eating pretty healthy and you're watching your macros, whatever your macros may be, and most of your plate is vegetables most of the time, because I think your plate should be protein and vegetables should be the bulk of it.
Yeah.
have a piece of chocolate or whatever you're going to have, a cookie, gluten-free cookie. Go for the best option you can, but have it after your meal.
Totally.
Because then you're not jacking your blood sugar and it's not taking up space where your vegetables and your protein should be.
Exactly. You know, another one, I'm just going to throw this in the mix. And I don't even do it often, but if I have felt like, maybe actually sometimes I feel like I need carbohydrates for my training specifically.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, well now we'll go in there for, because there's a good part of conversation in that, but dark frozen cherries. Keep that in your freezer.
I haven't tried them. Red cherries, you mean?
What did I say? Dark red. Yeah, I don't know.
Frozen cherries? Sorry, like you get them and you freeze them with the.
They're like dark red. I know dark is part of it's on the bag, but they're just basically frozen cherries.
You buy them frozen. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and so I love that texture.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And cherries are definitely sweet, right? But that's like, and I mean, listen, I don't eat sugar, so one, maybe two, that's plenty,
right?
So, but I feel like that's a nice if you want to have some kind of. Because sugar is also a gateway. I mean, it's tricky.
Yes.
If you don't have the habits and if you tend to really like sugar, I mean, listen, I loved sugar for the better part of my life, just sad diet, all the stuff. Like I loved carrot cake. Oh my God. And now, no, I don't. Like
it's not appealing anymore, right?
The little bit of banana that was in this bread that I had for the first time.
It's so sweet, yeah.
It was so sweet.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. I didn't get a head rush.
No.
But I'll tell you what, I went out and crushed a run.
Yeah.
Because the glycogen was like working, But it was super sweet to my taste buds because I don't typically have sugar.
Right.
But I was going to say that sugar is something tricky because if you're not on this level yet, it is a fucking gateway drug.
Oh yeah.
You got. I mean, you're about to do a
class.
Yes. This podcast is going to come out after, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I feel like you might do it again.
I might do it again. I'm doing just a free one just because I saw that movie Fed Up. If you guys haven't watched it, I think I watched it on Amazon Prime for free.
Really?
It was either that or Netflix, and I'm thinking it was Amazon Prime. It was so good, and I rarely will say that about a nutrition-based movie or an eating, something about how we eat. And there's these kids in there who were overweight, and their parents are very overweight. The kids are very overweight. They're maybe 12, 13 years old. There's two boys and a girl from different families.
Yeah.
And it's people like Dr. Hyman and a couple of the other really good functional medicine doctors who get pretty into the politics and the food marketing and stuff. They're actually going in and trying to help them. And it shows like how wrong we've been led in what we're eating. And I just started feeling really bad for these kids. Like, you could see the heartbreak where they don't know why they're heavy. They don't know why they're heavy and their friends aren't.
Yeah.
But they know that they're... And the shame behind the hiding the food, and I've worked with kids for years, so the hiding the food and binging and then feeling embarrassed and maybe getting an eating disorder over it, starting to throw up, and things that happen with these kids. And one kid was like, I don't know why my brother can eat whatever he wants and I can't. Well, because his brother's a couple years younger. As soon as he gets to puberty, he's going to blow up like the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Then the parents are overwhelmed. They don't know any different.
No.
But then they show like how well this family does when they start just simple changes and eating real food. And so I just thought,
I love that.
Yeah, I just thought I'm going to do a free class and just to see how this stuff works, and then think about where I can go more just to help for teenagers for free.
Yeah.
Somewhere online, because they literally have nobody to ask.
Dude, that's so rad.
That's going to tell them the truth, even.
You know what? God, I love that you're doing this, and I love that you just expressed all that. And I think one thing that we will do, because again, this podcast will come out just after your first one, but I think I think we should do some live Instagram video hangouts where we can take some questions.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
To like target towards the young, to the
focus
youth.
Towards kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's think about this for a second.
Yeah.
When I'm if I make it to like the 80s and 90s, it's these kids who are taking care of us, right?
That is
just
true.
Running the world.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about how they get, from an emotional perspective, it really just took me back to Roxanne, 17 years old, in bed with my knee in this machine, trying to get mobility back, like watching myself get fat, not even knowing what the fuck is going on because I never had to think about any of this stuff. So I don't know where to go, where to start. And then, fast forward, it would you know, in the years to follow, I was living in a kind of lower state of myself, like, and I knew it. And, you know, I mean, listen, the one great thing is, like, when I gain weight, I gain it all over. So it's like I carry it well.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, this is, you know, no, I'm not big boned. Yeah. Like, no, like, don't get it twisted.
And
like,
you're not tall
I know
either.
myself. Exactly. You know, I'm 5'4".
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, 5 pounds will show up on
Yeah.
me, you know? And so, you know, but I never stopped. I never stopped digging. And again, like, it brings me back to this place where I can sit and rap out about biology with you, which is so rad because, you know, I was not convinced. I was like, nope, this is not who I am. I know who I am, and I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to keep learning and learning. And, you know, I cracked the fucking code, which is rad. And now I'm able to also help people in their journey to the best of my ability. But the emotional component to, you know, like, what I had to go through in all these years of, like, looking in the mirror going, you know, and I should also say this, like, it wasn't like I'd sit there and cry or like, but getting dressed wasn't fun all the time.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I'm just like, this is not
can't
right.
zip your pants, don't like the way it happened to me in junior high. So
Yeah.
I get it. And not knowing what the solution is, and my parents didn't know the solution either.
I mean, I remember a time when I was like, whatever, it was my late, I think it was like 18. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this photo shoot, and, you know, whatever. So I got to go on a diet. Do you know what my diet was?
Yeah, what?
I decided that I was just going to eat bananas all day.
Oh my God.
I've never even said that out loud. Like, it just,
yeah.
I don't remember if I was
Oh,
constipated.
wait till I tell you what mine was.
But
yeah, did it work?
How about
it worked.
sugar?
It probably worked, though, right?
No.
Oh, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe I lost a little
unlimited
bit of weight,
bananas,
but you're
maybe not.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is that this might bridge us somewhere else, but you can lose weight to have a body, like, for body composition, which, you know, I speak to this so much when I talk about nutrition, right? My diet is geared towards two things, towards cellular health, right? Which is going to keep my body in a very, you know, optimal state of health so that I can perform at a higher level. And I also gear my body towards body composition. So muscle to fat ratio, even healthy bones. That is how I strategically design the food that I eat. What is this doing for my mitochondria? What is this doing for my microbiome? What is this doing for my muscles? What is this doing to my blood sugar levels? Like, all that shit, right? Am I getting BDNF or like, you know,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking
mTOR, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so, you know, and this also allows me to, you know, just in the physical sense, perform in training on a level that feels really good, and then it shows on my body. Yeah, because there's shoulder definition, there's abs, there's strong glutes and things like that.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, if you're just watching calories to lose weight, that doesn't mean you're gonna have you're not going to be lean and have like strength and you know what I mean?
Right.
So back to the bananas, just so you know, like
Yeah.
I might have lost a little bit of weight, but it's
Right.
like I didn't have my abs.
Right.
Yeah.
Most people will lose weight just because they're quote dieting for a few days. They might, because they're more aware. They're not just eating whatever, and so whatever diet usually will make you feel like you're doing better for a couple days.
That
and
makes
then
sense.
with most diets, there is going to be a plateau period. So a lot of what I do with people is I don't really like to have people on a diet. I like to just find what works for their body.
Yeah.
And you'll see people on Instagram say, like, I don't diet anymore. I just, you know, I teach them to be their own nutritionist, like to become more intuitive with it. And like, I see you even doing that. Like, it wasn't like I was like, hey, Roxy, you need to eat meat.
Yeah.
I was showing you your labs and telling you how that how that works, and you were like, do you think if I ate meat, like, you know,
I was ready.
Yeah, you were ready,
I had been
and
learning
you knew
so much. And
you
I'm like,
knew, and I was never going to be like, oh, you know, I'm never going to lie. I always tell things straight up the way. And could I be wrong? Absolutely. But I always wonder that. Is the stuff that I do now, like carb timing and using keto as a tool and autophagy and intermittent fasting, am I going to, like, 10, 15 years from now, am I going to cringe and be like,
because of all of the knowledge that we're going to be,
like,
totally.
like 20 years ago, I was putting people on blood sugar balancing diets with macros, but guess what? It's the same exact daily food plan that I still use.
Yeah.
I just have always fine-tuned it for everybody.
Yeah.
And now I just know more about I knew about protein back then because we was taught in functional medicine, was very new, but I know more about why we were led to think that fats were bad and to think that carbs were the answer and all that. So I think that
well, I think it is rad that you're not necessarily creating, oh, this is your diet plan.
Or this is the diet.
Right. Because again,
none.
it's like agility.
Yeah.
Like before we hit record, I told you, hey, Juli, especially based off of some lab work that was just done for me, I'm like, I think that I need to start incorporating some, more low glycemic carbohydrates. So meaning like sweet potato, gluten-free oats, because these foods are they're great. I just don't eat them.
I love that for you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because guess what? Now I have to create a habit because my carbohydrates are coming from plants, which means that like there's basically, it's super minimal. My blood sugar levels, what it was actually, can we pull that up really quick?
And then also tell them like why what effects you're trying to. Glucose is up here. So glucose was 87 fasting, which is fabulous. That means that...
And it dropped.
But it means that your body is able to make glucose from your glucagon in your liver very easily because you were fasting for this. So
that's cool.
When they're out of balance, that's going to be too low most of the time. So that's kind of like a reactive hypoglycemia.
Okay.
Or it can be high and then it's going to show up in the hemoglobin A1C. Which is what your blood has been on an average tissue level for the last 3 months. So we could probably find that.
It's right here. It's right underneath it.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
4.7 is phenomenal. Like,
is it?
I mean, yeah, it's really good. For anybody over like 35, that's a great healthy level, and it's actually lower than it was.
Right.
Like, your labs just keep getting better. It's ridiculous. And
God, that feels so good.
It's amazing.
That's rad.
It's really good. So
yeah,
I think we can incorporate some of those carbs back in your diet easily.
Okay.
And not even make that budge. If it did,
that's rad.
Yeah. If it did budge a little bit, it wouldn't be a big deal. And
do you think that it wouldn't budge so much because of my physical output? Or like I'm utilizing the glycogen?
Because we're going to time it correctly.
Okay.
And also because you're pairing it with healthy fat and protein.
Yeah, totally.
That's the key right there.
Right.
We're not just going to go, boom, Roxy, I'm eating carbs.
Like I'm just going to go get a gluten-free brownie and and just start my day with sweet potato fries.
Fly up and then crash. We're not going to do that because then that undoes a lot of this stuff. And sometimes people read online, I'm doing keto for 2 years now. I'm not only just plateaued and not losing weight, which happens to almost all of them. And I keep saying, watch these people. They're going to stop showing pictures of themselves, or they're going to.
Let's talk about that for a second, actually. And then that will bridge down to like how I'm adjusting and why. But because I know that people come to you for that a lot. And, obviously keto is like I feel like it's just a superstar diet that it's just so
like millions of hits
because
on the on the internet and stuff.
I mean, it originated to from a very medicinal perspective, right?
Epilepsy,
exactly.
Seizures, in kids,
right,
yeah,
and yes, it is absolutely true. Especially, most people will just focus on America. It's like you're coming from this very high carbohydrate, sugary diet. So now you're going to switch gears, right? And you're going to go into more healthy fats, hopefully healthy, right? Right. Hopefully that's
not
how they're
everybody
doing it.
does.
I know,
most
right?
Most of them do dairy and butter and
right.
Yeah.
So you have milk. So, but you're going to switch the energy gear to go from glycogen, carbohydrates,
to ketones.
And but I think on like more of a surface level, what we're doing is we're taking these kind of junkier foods and we're placing them for ketogenic friendly foods, which is more plants, fats, things of that nature. Right there, someone's going to feel different and they're going to drop. They're going to lose weight, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
Even if they're just eating everyday In-N-Out lettuce burgers with cheese,
right? Exactly.
They're still going to see some improvements. Yeah, right. Well, that's what they do. They just do double, or if there's a triple,
and then they hit a plateau
with no bun. They just do what they're eating with no bun or no bread.
Right. I'm on a keto diet.
Some of them are really big.
And then everything's keto. By the way, side note, I'm going to put this in there. Because I know like people, I think Mind Pump had written an article about it and I love them. They're so great.
Yeah,
like people are gaining weight from it. Well, yes. Because you can't just do fat bombs. Like, oh, I'm on the keto diet, so I'm going to lose weight. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Numbers still matter.
What they've been told by a lot of these influencers or what they're hearing, a couple people come to me with their plans that they bought online. And they're like, yeah, and they've gained weight or they've gotten kidney stones or gallstones or, you know, things where their doctor's like, no, now you get to go pay a real nutritionist to help you get out of this health issue that you have trying to lose weight. But they don't know. They just see that people that it worked and these people are like, I feel great. I've never felt better. I've lost all these pant sizes.
Right.
But it's not the same to just take the carbs out of your diet and eat everything that isn't a carb as to create a healthier diet. And I don't think most people don't realize that they're not actually going into ketosis.
Oh my God, I love you for saying that because that has been on top of my mind. I'm like, no. And there is a difference. Like I'm very low carb, right? Like again, my Baru nuts, right?
There's but 5, you're not keto. Yeah.
Well, 5 grams of protein per serving. Let's just say I have a couple servings a day. 20 carbohydrates as a whole, 5 grams of fiber, right? So it's like 15 net carbs per serving. Let's just say I have 3 servings a day. My carbohydrates are my carbohydrates are always under 100 grams. Not that I'm calculating every day, but just knowing my food.
You need to be there to lose weight. Everybody. For the most part, unless they're very, very big, we need to be there.
Well, see, and I'm not even doing it to lose weight. It's just because...
To not gain weight and to... I mean, that's where a typical diet starts for me, for most people, is around 100 or less. And what I was taught was if somebody's overweight or they have dysinsulinism, they need to be on 80 carbs or less. Per day. Really? But that is not keto, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Thank you. I was going to say, I am not in ketosis. As low carb as I am, I'm not in ketosis, which actually might be working against...
But you are fat adapted.
Am I?
Yes, you are fat.
It does feel that way.
Yes, because you are, because you're an athlete. And so you're combining the HIIT, you're combining the intermittent fasting. So that's when you said to me when we first met that I liked it. You said, I try to hang out around keto, something like that. My diet, I try to hang. You remember you said something like that. I try to hang out in a.
It's in the zone, but I certainly wouldn't.
Me too. I love that. No,
yeah, I don't want to give keto credit though.
No, I agree.
Because I'm certainly not waking up thinking anything about ketogenesis.
And you guys don't need to be buying ketones or testing your ketones
or let's say this. Even if someone does want to go towards the keto diet, I mean, I just don't feel, especially women. It has been shown that women do not do as well with the keto diet.
Yeah.
Like
for hormones.
Sakes, yeah. Right. So it's like, okay, not that we're telling anyone what to do, but it's like, this is when you're taking out a macro, when you're shifting something very big, you don't know what your genetics are doing. Like, you don't know if you haven't done that work, right? Assuming that someone hasn't done blood work, they don't know this stuff about them. Right. And now you're going to go on this very extreme shift of a diet. Yeah. It might not be this great thing for you, even though everyone's putting it out there like, oh, this is a shit, And maybe even to further that, it could feel good and seem like it's, in quotations, working for, a couple weeks or, whatever. And then all of a sudden, they come to you because they're like, I'm plateauing, or maybe I don't feel as good. Why is my energy as low? Oh, because maybe your thyroid isn't...
Thyroid tanked.
Your thyroid tanked because you needed that carbohydrate because you're a woman and there's something there. I don't know. I can't speak to that as well as you.
You're not able to get pregnant, or you skip periods, or...
I heard that. I heard that actually low carbohydrates, or like more of that diet is actually not good for fertility. I was reading it on a study recently.
Yeah,
don't quote me.
I read it in a couple different places now.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any long-term studies. I have seen a few things that are pointing that direction for sure, and I see it in clinical practice. That it's not good for breastfeeding either. I've seen these women that they came to me after, but they're breastfeeding for longer than 6 months. Yeah. Then they want to start losing the weight. So they're trying to do keto. Yeah. Breast milk dries up.
Wow.
Well, because now you're limiting like something your body obviously needs that you need to be giving to breast milk has a very specific breakdown of nutrients and macros that it needs to be for each person.
Yeah.
It's little different from mom to mom, person to person, from
Sure.
species to species, but we need to eat in a way that we can keep our hormones balanced, and that's where we're able to make the right breakdown for
that makes
our
perfect
babies,
sense,
right?
Yeah, and I think the kind of main takeaway from this area of our conversation is, it just goes back to what we say a lot. It's like, man, you gotta your diet, Julie's body and Roxy's body are two very different bodies.
Yes.
And what may work for you is not necessarily going to be the best for me, and vice versa, right? So here's the thing. Summer is here, right? And people are thinking, people always get more, conscious of body because more body's going to be showing during the summer, right? Warmer weather. And I think that, so this is when diet and all this stuff starts to become more part of the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that, the idea behind, that we're trying to kind of put out in this part of our conversation is, listen, if you want to go keto, it could be a great thing for you. Watching your calories could be a great thing for you, could not be. The thing is that everybody is so specific. Your body is your body. Your genes are your genes. Your levels are your levels. And so no matter what looks great and what seems, this person's claiming to be the best thing ever, doesn't necessarily mean that it's the greatest thing for you. And I think, obviously there's a few things that we could do, but that see someone like you, an expert like yourself, do comprehensive blood lab, like the geek, the geek in me loves to do. Yeah. Also though, and I'm very sensitive to my body for certain reasons because I don't, I feel like I don't pollute my body with things. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's something to be said about being very sensitive to body and being very aware of kind of shifts that you're feeling, right? And then responding to them. It doesn't mean you have to Google every single thing that you're feeling at every given moment, but just staying in this level of awareness, right? So here's an example. Let's just say you decided that you're going to do the keto diet, right? Mm-hmm. Now you've cut the carbs and a female, we'll just focus on her. Right. Female decides, I'm going to do keto summer, I want to lose weight. And a couple weeks, you're feeling good. But then all of a sudden you hit week 3, week 4, and you're like, God, getting up in the morning just feels harder for some reason, the workouts that I typically can do just feel like less. Or why is the scale moving? Or maybe the scale's even going up, actually. Right. It's moving in the wrong direction. Pay attention. Yes. And then investigate. Yes. Investigate. It's like my favorite fucking word these days. I've got a lot of favorite words. Investigate.
Yeah. I think you're never going to go wrong increasing vegetables. Yeah. You're never going to go wrong cutting out the processed foods in your diet. And I know that sounds so hard because you're like, everybody's biggest thing is what will I eat? Right. Think about what people eat on farms. Think about, and we don't have to grow it, you guys. We just have to go to Lazy Acres or Whole Foods and buy the meat or the fish.
Well, and I also think that protein is such a huge focus. Listen, I start my mornings when I do start eating. I am always starting with a minimum of 30 grams of high quality protein. That is going to fire me up. At least 30, yeah. Yeah, at least 30. Yeah, because the thing is and I am very heavily plant-based. I was so happy about my magnesium, by the way. Yeah. When I saw that, it was dead in the middle of green. I was like, yes, because that, regulates from over 300 of our genes. Right. Exactly. So plants, and anybody who follows me on Instagram, my ebook, my recipe book, it's full of plants. However, protein, we need it. Sarcopenia starts at age 30 or something. Yeah. Which is, the loss of muscle. Right. We need muscle to just keep being as healthy as we can in our life. If you guys literally just did that, traded your cereal and oatmeal and all that, and did 30 grams of carbs, and then added some kind of I know it sounds gross at breakfast, but either
if you're don't do animal protein, do a good quality powder. Then
well,
you're gonna have
so
to
one of the
supplement.
things that I do love to, now that I'm just recently reincorporating some low glycemic carbs into my diet, so I'm implementing like a pack of gluten-free oats in the day, right?
Yeah.
But what I do is I put a scoop of protein powder in there, so I'm getting, actually that the macro can change, but like it's anywhere between 10 grams of protein to 20 grams of protein, depending on what else I've eaten already.
For breakfast or for
No, I
snack?
put that in my oatmeal.
Oh, got it.
So
Okay.
in my gluten-free oats, I'm putting in my protein
powder or eggs.
and it tastes way better.
Yeah.
I don't put eggs,
Okay.
which I don't think anything's. I've actually had the thought of it,
I
but
used to put egg whites. Scrambled egg whites are a whole couple scrambled eggs in there.
it's very bodybuilder
It's
of you.
fast. Yeah, it's just fast and easy. And
No,
cinnamon.
it's good.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, because
Yeah.
you know what? Sometimes even just making a egg whites with cinnamon, it's so
Tastes
good
good.
because
Yeah, it
you
tastes
really can
really good.
manipulate
Yeah.
the taste of egg whites to be kind of whatever you want.
You can.
But yeah, so just sorry, I was going to say though that it's so important to implement this high quality protein into your diet, and not just 100% plants, but I really want to be a voice to the protein too.
Oh yeah, I mean both. Most people
Are
eat
curious about my
vegetables
diet,
even
and I'm going
once
to tell
a
you
day.
right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
like
a lot
I'm
of
plants
vegetables.
all
Yeah.
day long.
Yeah, she eats a lot of veggies.
You just told me I want to see your protein higher,
Yeah.
right? And it's like,
No, I do.
okay,
Well, because of the
I
amount
lift
of
and
muscle building that you do, I think most of us need to be higher in protein, unless you have a serious kidney issue.
yeah.
And I do have one patient who functions at a very high level, like business-wise, and has been on keto. It's the only way he's been able to lose weight until he came with me. But and his doctor, kidney stones, and his doctor's like, no, you can't do keto, because the doctor didn't really know that much about keto, and he is terrified that he was gonna get really fat again, and feel terrible again, and have all this heart disease and all those stroke. And no, he's actually losing weight now, eating carbs in his diet, and he's like amazed.
Oh wait, side note, let me just throw this in really quick. I mean, studies have also shown that a lack of carbohydrates increases cortisol levels.
Yep.
Cortisol can basically not just water retention, but actual fat gain
around the middle. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it just to highlight the importance of, that there is value in carbohydrates. It's all about what kind of carbohydrate. It's all about how much, like the dose.
Right.
And even timing, I think, is relevant.
And how you pair it. So,
and how you're
try
combining.
not to just eat carbs by themselves. Like,
Yeah.
I heard this whole thing for about 10 minutes on food combining. That's another thing. You can't go in 50 different directions and then make a diet out of it. Food combining was a little thing for a minute in the 80s, where people were like, well, you can't eat fruits with vegetables, and you can't eat protein with either of them, and you can't eat carbs with either of them, and don't even think about that. You need to keep your blood sugar balanced is the first and foremost, and that's a combo of protein, the complex carbs that you are going to eat, and your healthy fat.
Yeah.
And then putting vegetables in there is the fiber.
Yeah.
So that not only
Love
feeds
that.
your microbiome, gives you all your nutrients, makes you feel satiated, balances leptin and ghrelin, which are your hunger and your satiation hormones, make you feel full. But it also keeps you going for longer without having to stop and eat, because it's fiber, basically.
That's why I love
Broken
my
down
Baro
slowly.
nuts.
Yeah, I know, those too. Yeah,
They're in
Baro
my
nuts
bag.
do that as well, you guys.
They really
Yeah.
help. They really do. Because I just, because they're so yummy, and they have such great, such great amounts of fiber and protein in it. And so it's like, because listen, here's the thing too. This is one of the reasons why I'm so proud of my ebook too, the recipe book, because
it's rad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I'm a solopreneur. I'm on the go. Like I told you, I'm eating my protein pancake on the way here. I don't got time all day to sit here and just be eating and okay, what's my every 2 hours? It's like, no, I tend to eat like this. I have 2 meals, morning, anywhere between 10 to 12. If I feel like I need to eat earlier, I will. But that's usually, the protein, the fats, whatever. I have a good amount of food at that period. And then, I will have my dinner pretty early, like around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever, between 5 and 7, safe to say. Mm-hmm. And I might have, I'll usually have like maybe a not hard-boiled, 6-minute egg. There is a difference. In between with some baru nuts. Yeah. But the thing is that I'm not eating, this perfectly balanced meal like every 3 hours. And I think that is, I don't know. I feel like
no, and you don't have to. No,
you don't have to, especially when you're getting the right macros and micronutrients in. Thank you. That was the takeaway.
That's what I meant by you're fat adapted. You're metabolically flexible, so that were able to last on that airplane for a long time too. Probably you went maybe a little longer when you were traveling to Spain.
I definitely went longer.
Without having to eat and without having a meltdown. Like, I know most of you guys who are dependent on carbohydrates and like bread and crackers and even like, Fage yogurt and all that stuff every couple of hours. You go 4 hours, 5 hours, you get shaky, right? You get hangry, you get irritated, you get spacey.
Yeah.
Well, Roxy and I don't get that, at least. I know she doesn't. I don't get it. I can go maybe 6 hours before I start feeling like I'm hitting a wall.
Yeah, I think for me, it'll vary based on my training, because that is certainly going to influence
my exercise matters.
My blood sugar levels and all of that. So there are times, honestly, in 3 hours, I'm fucking hungry.
Yeah.
But then there are times where I will go literally 7-8 hours.
Right.
I mean, again, I don't even start eating typically until after 10 o'clock, but I'm waking up at like 5-6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Right. So it's not, I've been awake for hours already. I've even worked out.
Right.
So, I think that will vary person to person and lifestyle, but it's the big thing is like when you're spiking your insulin, you are going to crash, and then you're going to need to eat more and all that.
And that's why people who diet then are starving and thinking about food and then not even losing any weight, because their metabolism, as soon as you cut your calories too far, or you cut your protein, your carbs, something too far, your body is designed to keep you alive through famine. So it's going to jack your metabolism. So
our bodies want to survive.
They do.
Especially women. Ladies, it's harder for us. It's a real thing, because our hormones fluctuate, and our bodies are designed to survive so that we can keep this life force going, right? One thing I do want to say though is, because it is summer, and because, people do ask me a lot, like, how do you get the shoulders? How do you get the, and
you worked hard.
Yeah. Well, I work smart. I work
you do.
smart, and I because I'm mindfully working smart, I'm actually able to work hard consistently.
Right.
There is something to be said about there is a time to diet. And I'm going to speak to that because I went, like 5 years ago when I started lifting weights and started increasing my protein, I was in a deficit, because that, if you want to lose body fat, again, it's so complex. There's so many complexities to the subject. I also wasn't 200 pounds. So we're talking about losing like, whatever it was, like 5-6 pounds or something like that. But because I was already in that place where I was lean and my diet was really healthy, I had to dial back.
You mean cut calories?
I had to cut calories.
No, I didn't mean don't cut calories.
No,
I meant,
I want to say this because I don't want it to, I want to say this because there is a place and a time where it all, where this can make sense too. I know that there are people who specifically are, maybe, you're not 300 pounds and you don't have a sugar issue, or you don't have, but you're like, hey, I just want to kind of tighten up and I want to get more, I want my glutes to be more pronounced and I want my abs to be, so how do you do that?
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, then you definitely want to look at what your calories are doing. You definitely want to look at, aside from obviously your food as a whole, but let's just say you're already there. You're eating, generally a healthy, good diet.
Right.
You want to look at your calories. You want to look at your macros, especially with a focus on protein.
Yeah.
What is that doing? It's going to fire up your metabolism.
You have to cut calories sometimes. Like some people are like, I'm doing what you're saying, I'm eating, or they'll come to me, I'm eating keto, and they actually are eating some veggies and they actually are eating, good quality protein. But when I look at, a lot of people think that keto means you can eat as much as you want. And that's why it appeals to people who are carb addicts, because they can't stop eating carbs all day, because the carbs are addictive mostly, but then now they're eating hamburgers all day or sausage or bacon. That's a lot of calories. You're going to gain weight. I'm sorry.
Food.
So that goes to the emotional. And I'm the queen of guess what? You're going to a therapist if you want to work with me. So if it's an emotional eating issue, which many times it is, mine was emotional when I didn't know what the answer was as a teenager. And
Food is a drug.
Yeah, it is a drug, and it can become very emotional, and we can all use it for whatever reasons, to numb out, to fill a hole, and just like with those kids, I'm worried about those teenagers, that they're using food as kids because we're literally handing it to them and going, here, try this drug, take a puff on these Cheerios, have some Gatorade, have some soda, right? And then what do you think? They're gonna say no when it comes around to beer and pot and other drugs. Of course they're not gonna say no, because then they don't gain weight too. They're now, especially like cocaine, speed, they're gonna feel similar as food, but with losing weight.
They're gonna be losing weight.
Right. So then we got to think, well, did we kind of set these kids, are we as a society setting these kids up for that drug addiction? Of course we are, especially when you factor in they're hyperactive because their diets aren't good. They're on too much sugar. And then you give them medication that actually is an amphetamine.
That's crazy to think about. Yeah. I mean, it's deep.
It's deep. Like it's heavy. Julie. And it all goes back to the fact that our government allows the people, the food companies, to have too much say-so in nutrition guidelines. Yeah. And that's the 100% truth, you guys. Like the Dietetic Association works for food companies. They literally sponsored by food companies. Right. They're catered by McDonald's sometimes. Like Coca-Cola gives money to the people who make our USDA guidelines. Crazy. No wonder we're told to eat 6 to 12 servings of bread every day, or grains, or that's
it's so
nuts.
Gnarly. I mean, the great thing here is that I think people are taking more time. I mean, anyone listening to this podcast is someone who is interested in taking kind of, the reins in their own life. Like, hey, I want to learn more, and I want to learn from sources that I trust. Yeah. I mean, podcasts are kind of like the last frontier of information where it, we can, where it's not being funded necessarily. I mean, I can't speak to every podcast, but certainly mine isn't.
Yay.
And we do the, I'm very science-based. Like, I love science-backed information. So this is not just like, there's no fad shit happening here. Right. And again, that's not to say that I know everything, because science doesn't know everything. We're like continuously learning, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think that it's so, people who listen, I know my audience are people who are just so interested in how can I continuously be performing at a more feel-good state. Mm-hmm. So let's even take away the word better, right? But just like, well, I'm just kicking ass more and more and more, and it's feeling good in the process. And the hard stuff, because we all got hard shit we're going through, I'm actually able to handle it more, better. There's more resiliency, all that stuff. And I think that, diet is such a huge fucking part of it. Yes, it is. It really is.
You can't just go do I see you on your Instagram. I see you in person running on the beach. I see you. You can't just go do that if your diet isn't good. Yeah. You're just not going to be able, maybe when we're teenagers, maybe in our 20s, but beyond that, it's just not going to happen if we're not like putting the right fuel in.
Yeah. And maybe I'll wrap up this conversation, because me and you will go for 5 hours, but I'll wrap it up.
We'll be the only ones left.
I know, I love it.
You guys are awesome if you're still here, by the way. No, we love you.
They're fucking here. Yeah. I know my people. They're here.
I know, they are awesome.
No, but I'll wrap it up by saying that, performing for me is not just a physical thing. It is an emotional thing. It's a mental thing. I've expressed this in a recent podcast too, but I'm paying attention to how I wake up feeling in the morning. I literally start my performance there. Mm-hmm. Do I wake up feeling like I'm fucking excited, that I'm ready, which doesn't mean that I'm sprinting out my bed. My bed is way too comfortable for that. No, but I do. I am waking up more days than not feeling ready to fucking go. Excited.
Me too.
I want to attack. I want to get into my process. I want to drink my adaptogens. Like, I want to start tackling my challenges. Like, I want to figure shit out and, go test my body, all that stuff. So I really want to start implementing that more into the conversation, that it's not a physical thing necessarily, or just a physical thing. I'm really looking at my attitude, my emotional state, because that is dictating so much in my of my overall performance in life.
Mood.
Right?
Yeah.
Which still is going to we're going to go right back to that shit is being influenced by my diet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm like,
I love it. I love it.
No,
I know.
Hair flip. Okay, we're done.
I know, it's time to go. Everybody gets a mood analysis when they come see me. And it's funny, it really is a short one, but really, if there's any anxiety, depression, that stuff, I will say, I bet you it's gone in a couple months.
I love it.
And it
That's
almost
so
always
smart.
is. Yeah,
Yes.
it's gone with the food changes.
Yes.
And then it's easier to make better food changes when I'm not feeling anxious or depressed and waking up and feeling excited is its own reward for all of this.
Yeah.
And if you are feeling anxious, depressed, having a hard time, like really look at what you're eating because it might not seem like it's related, but it almost always is related. And then you
agree.
at least rule that out,
because
right?
And I know I've said this, but I think that most people are looking at just kind of the human, like, I'm Julie and I live here and I like to do this and, this is my job. And they're not taking the deeper look. And I understand this, but it's like, yeah, Julie, you're made of DNA, biome, and you have a heart and you have lungs and everything there's like a system within Julie and a system within those systems and a system within those systems. and what is that running off of? Like, what is the information that you are giving to this system of systems, which is food, right? Food is a form of information to dictate then how you're feeling.
Yeah. Exactly.
Please
and it literally
remember that. Like, that is something important. And the cool part when you do start to look in that direction is that you're actually able to get out of your head more of like, oh, it's not just me. Like, this isn't just my identity. I'm not just this way. And you learn that when you start making changes, like you said, and then it's like, wait, I just feel so much fucking better. It's like, well, because you've changed the information that you've given the system of systems.
Right. And try to be open to learning. Like, if tomorrow I learn that vegetables are hurting me in some way, I'm going to stop eating vegetables. Or if, like, I'm going to change my mind.
You're going to be agile with your body.
Yeah.
You're going to listen because you have a connection to your body. You're more connected to your body than you are connected to these ideas and these concepts, even facts. Put out there. Right.
May not always be facts. Science is not always science. It's kind of scary, but news can be alternative news. So what we think we know now might not always be. I try not to get married to this stuff, but I believe in it when I say it. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And most of the major stuff we've been pretty on cue with. Yeah. And I just love that every day I get to get up and learn. More about this stuff and how fast the science and the studies that are not all biased are now coming because there's people giving money in that direction and people listening to podcasts.
It's like we're realizing that, hey, where are we going here? And there's more illness now than there was before, and there's just more proof that we need to edit in a way that we can, so that we can benefit, right?
Right.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, and we have these podcasts like yours where this information is getting out there now.
Yeah.
And like Mind Pump and all, Joe Rogan, all those people are putting out information from all the different sides.
Yeah.
And like for vegans, for paleo, for keto, all of it is people just trying to get better. We're just trying to be better. Right. When we know better, we do better.
Absolutely.
Right? I think you were the first one that said that to me.
We know better.
But and I say it all the time the last couple of years, like when we know better, we do better. We just do. Right?
No, it's true. Like I'm doing the best I can today with what I have, with what I know. And tomorrow that could change. Hopefully it will, because I'm always living with this kind of drive towards, performing better, like just kind of living from a higher expression of myself. But that might mean then that I need to learn something new or maybe some new, external, stimulus has to come into my environment for me. Like maybe it's a person, maybe there's
could be a stressor or
something needs to change for me to change, and then that will allow me to be able to perform at a higher level.
Right.
So,
and we don't have to feel worse or less good just because we're getting older. That's like the most important. That's a big myth. People are like, well, I'm 35. I guess I should feel not good, as good, or start feeling so tired at 5 p.m. or 3 p.m. No, BS. I feel better now than I did in my late 20s. And it's because of some of these changes that I made.
I'm 100%.
So,
that's why in my birthday post, I'm like, I truly don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't feel age. I feel levels.
Yeah.
And I'm on fucking level 41 right now. And level 41 is kicking ass. I just bench pressed the first day since I was 9 years old. I was just curious, and my brother was doing
rad.
it.
I saw that.
It was so funny, but it was like...
You guys were hysterical together.
Oh, I love it. I love it too. Yeah. My brother. Because I love it. And he's like, you gotta change your brain.
Yeah.
The thing about how, he's so serious.
And the way he says it to you, I was like, he's hardcore.
Yeah. So am I.
I love it.
And
I
that's
know.
why it works.
And you watched him and you did it.
And
you listened.
And then he's like, right before I'm gonna lift the bar, all right, champ, let's go. And it's like, you know what he does? He fucking pulls the Rocky out of me. Yeah. It's like my Mickey. Get up, you son of a bitch. Yeah. Because Mickey loves you. Mickey's not like, okay, we're gonna, it's like, and my brother's softer than that, but,
he's rad. I love it. Yeah. That. Emma loves him.
But the big takeaway was just that, like, here I am at 41 and I hit a plate. I needed help on the way back up because my form was horrible. Because I hadn't done it for years, but I hit 135. And, I'm 41 years old. Yeah. So, whatever this age
amazing.
Thing, it's just
I want to feel better every year. Yeah. I expect to.
You're kicking
And
ass.
So far I have. I know. I'm going to learn how to skateboard at 50. I'm going to learn how to, I have a whole list of things and amazing. I just keep doing them. I'm just not going to take no for an answer.
Well, you're staying in student mode and you're not following the general, now I'm 40, so let's go downhill.
Yeah.
You're just like, no, you're staying inspired. You're staying in this kind of growth mindset. And that's a beautiful place to be. So
love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this has been so good.
Yeah, it's fun.
So much more to come with you. Throw out your Instagram, even though it's going to be in the show notes. Mm-hmm. What's your Instagram again?
Oh, Juli Keene Nutritionist. Mm-hmm. Juli with no E.
So much good facts here. I mean, you guys, Julie's been on the podcast a handful of times already. Mm-hmm. So much more to come. But yeah, thank you. I love you. It's so elevating, and I learned so much from you. It's just so much fun to sit at and wrap out with you. And if I keep going, we're going to be here for another 3 hours.
Thanks,
so I'm going
guys.
to shut us off right now. Okay. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, you guys. If you loved it, please share it on your social. Throw it up on your Instagram stories and tag me. I'm at Black Belt Beauty. I am also at Roxy Look, RoxyLook. I love connecting with you guys. This is a conversation that I want to just continue growing with you guys. So if you feel inspired to hit me up, do so in that space. I always enjoy hearing from you. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by rating it and reviewing it via iTunes. It's such supportive help, you guys. It really helps the visibility of this podcast. So I appreciate and thank you in advance for doing that. And last but not least, if you are interested in starting your own podcast, or perhaps you already have one and you need help with, editing your audio and the production of it, I cannot recommend my producers enough. Resonate Recordings, you guys, they are the bomb. I rely on them. They are an absolute supportive tool to me and my podcast. So check them out and let them know that Black Belt Beauty sent you. And on that note, you guys, I'm signing off with all my love and always looking forward to catching you on the next.